Hi, this is David Brooke, and I'm the team leader for Brooke team at EXP. You know, a lot of people ask me, what's the difference in between a team and a brokerage? And over the course of this intro video, I'm gonna walk you through the economics of real estate, how it actually works not only on a real estate transaction, but how it could benefit your business or not benefit your business to be on a team or not. So let's get into it right now. Here's the full, complete, exposed example of how real estate teams and real estate brokerages work. So my brokerage is EXP Realty. I've been here for a few years now, absolutely love it. The reason that we love it so much is because it's a cloud-based brokerage. It does away with a lot of the non-necessary things that many of these legacy brokers have kind of adopted and worked with over the years. And it actually just allows for a lot more money to be given back to their agents, so that way their agents can be more profitable. And profitability is such a huge, important part, especially as you become a business owner. As soon as you get your real estate license, whether you believe it or not, whether you like it or not, you're actually part of your own company, and you're going to act as your own CEO, COO, and CFO. And it's how you want to run your business, what experience you want to give to your customers. And for us, we want to give an amazing experience to them, which is why we've created a team. And so the team that we have is called Brooke Team at EXP Realty. Well, in order to talk about teams or brokerages or agents, we kind of want to define what's the purpose in a real estate transaction for a brokerage and for an agent, for a team. So what's the purpose of a brokerage? Well, the first thing is it's actually required that you have a broker on every real estate transaction. And that might mean that you're a real estate agent who is not a broker yet. And so that means that you need to affiliate with a broker of some kind so that they can represent you in the transaction. Many people don't understand that, in agency, you're an agent of a buyer or a seller, but you're also an agent of a broker. And that broker is responsible to the state for all transactions that happen under their purview. So having a broker is required. And for many people, they're not a broker, and so they need a brokerage to be a part of. The second is a payment platform. So if you're your own small indie brokerage, then you can write your own checks and you're responsible for literally everything. But for many people who are a part of a brokerage, they just need a payment platform. So how they get paid. They also want global branding. So if you want to be a part of a small indie brokerage who just does things in a small, very small area of a town, fine, go ahead and do that. But if you want to deal nationally, send referrals nationally and work with the same brokerage where you know that people all adopt the same kind of values and methods of operations, then you're going to want a global company. And you're going to want global branding so that people who are a part of your brokerage or people who utilize your brokerage recognize the same branding everywhere they go. Brokerages also provide some large technology that most agents wouldn't be able to develop on their own. Huge CRMs, or they might develop marketing platforms or things like that. And so having large tech is pretty important. Dealing with document management systems, all of that is what a brokerage would handle, along with huge national events. Many brokerages put on large events that have tens of thousands of people who show up to them. And that's just not possible if you're on your own as a single agent or even a small independent brokerages. They wouldn't do that. So the brokerage does generally provide that. And then compliance and insurance. This is typically E&O insurance. Some people, adopt their own. At EXP, we really have our own that gets developed through each transaction that we have. And we have a compliance department as well. So that's the purpose of a brokerage. But what's the purpose of a real estate agent? The purpose of a real estate agent is very simple. No, it's not signing on, to social media and signing on and just chatting with your friends. It's not like HGTV puts out there where you're just showing properties and collecting big commissions checks. The day in and day out work of a real estate agent is lead generating. And what I mean by that, it's going and meeting people, becoming good friends with them and helping them out, providing value for them, and then continuing to follow up, because people might not be ready to buy a house today, but they might be ready in a short period of time or a long period of time. And they want to think, and you want them to think of you when it comes to buying or selling or investing in real estate, whenever that is. And in order to do that, real estate agents need to create content. They need to produce things that are educational for people, maybe have events for them, or stay in touch with items of value. And so creating content in order to have these real organic conversations is a big part of a real estate agent's job. It's also a real estate agent's job to go on appointments and to make sure that they're showing properties and going on listing appointments, having buyer consultations with people so that they can develop those relationships and move buyers and sellers closer to that point of having a real estate transaction take place. place. It's also important that as they go on these appointments, they also write contracts and negotiate them. And so they need to be doing that every single day, if not every week, in order to actually make a living for themselves. You can't just go on appointments. You actually need to write contracts in order to get to closings, in order to get paid. And at the end of the day, it is the agent's job to service their transactions that they actually do have under contract and get them from that point of the contract all the way to the closing table. So that's what a real estate agent should be doing every single day. But we'll find out soon enough that they do a lot more than that when they're trying to run their own business. Now, what's the purpose of a team? The purpose of a team is training. It's life on life, emulation, making sure that you see how another person who has done this before does it well. And so maybe you can model after them. And accountability, which simply means the reaffirmation and commitment to your goals that you originally set out, and being the best person that you can possibly be for yourself and for your clients. Training is absolutely essential in any job, and it would be ridiculous to assume that we could go out and get a license right away and then instantly start helping customers at any degree without some sort of mentorship or discipleship or anything else involved that didn't include training from a mentor or someone else who knew how to do it better before. In fact, it would be a disservice to many customers to try to complete a transaction without proper training. Unfortunately, that happens all the time because real estate agents just want to make as much money as quickly as possible, and that quickly gets them into a lot of trouble. Well, support is also important that a team provides. It's done for you business operations and systems. As we'll soon see, if you want to own your own real estate business, and I don't mean own your own brokerage, but just as you're developing your own real estate experience, you'll soon find out that if you were to run any other business, you're going to want to have a marketing plan. You're going to want to have a system of operations for how people get treated when they walk in the door. You're going to want to have things that happen automatically in your business so that you don't have to personally do them all the time. Well, that's not in everyone's wheelhouse. And many times I hear people say, I'm just not a systems person, or I'm not organized, or I don't know how to do these things. Well, a team will provide you support and a lot of these tools already in place so that you can have that done for you without you having to come up with this yourself. It's not reinventing the wheel anymore. It's just putting the wheel on your horse and cart and just moving it from there. So what about leads? Well, people can get into the business and maybe you've got a big sphere of influence. Maybe you've got a lot of friends and family who want to buy houses right away, and that's great. But at some point, you'll sell all of your friends and family's houses and you'll need to move on to people who you don't know. We call these people not Mets. And what ends up happening is when you need to add these people who you don't know to your database, you need to have events and you need to go out into the community. Maybe you need to door knock, or maybe you need to send some mailers out, or maybe you're going to just be cold calling people or calling people who had tried to previously sell their house and couldn't anymore. There's all these different ways that you can generate business. Well, what if it was possible for your real estate team, in order to send you invitations and connections to people who actually wanted to talk about real estate, who were interested in buying or selling a home, so you didn't have to try to find people who might be interested? And so a real estate team can provide you that with built-out lead flow, growth, and training on how to actually develop your own leads for yourself so you don't have to rely on leads directly from a team. Well, let's go through the economics of real estate. So let's just make up a real estate transaction. We've got a house here that's $500,000 and a commission rate of 6%, which is a standard commission rate that you would generally charge a seller in order to sell a property. So if we just do some simple math here, $30,000 is the total commission, or what we'll call the gross commission income from this real estate transaction. So this is the economics of real estate. Now, if you're not familiar with this, or you're brand new into real estate, or maybe you've been in a while and you're like, oh, I didn't know I could do this, seller agency generally gets a higher fee than buyer agency does. And the reason for that is there are other costs that actually get associated in the process. On the seller agency side, if you want to sell a property, you probably need to create marketing funnels, have photography and videography done on a property. You probably want some global presence. Maybe you're going to make a website, or you're going to host an open house or multiple open houses over the course of the exposure of the property to the market. You're probably going to network and market with lenders and other real estate brokers. You're likely going to need listing hardware like lock boxes and open house signs and banners and flyers and brochures and all of these other things that go into it, along with some signage out in front. And all of these things cost money, and they get used repetitively, which means that, yes, you don't have to buy them again instantly, but you're probably going to have to buy them again soon enough. And so seller agency generally costs a little bit more. Now, why do seller agencies actually cooperate with buyer agencies? Well, it's not just because they don't have the buyers, it's because there's also more work that gets involved. Because on the buyer agency side, you're going to have marketing funnels and lead nurture, and you're going to need to have a CRM to keep in touch with the buyer to see what they need to do and when they want to buy. You're going to need to go through the pre-qualification measures. And also the big one is get out there and show properties, which takes a lot of time and gas money and everything else in order to make sure a buyer finds the right property. But it's not the same as all the hardware necessary or all the heavy costs that are upfront and expenses for a seller agency. And so many times, cooperating brokerages will work together, but they'll offer the buyer agency maybe a little bit less on that side. And so instantly, right off the start, as we start to see the economics of real estate, there is different compensation levels that happen in between buyer agency and seller agency. And many times it's attributed to the different costs that show up in the process and the different length of time that it takes in order to get property sold. So why do homeowners hire real estate agents? Well, it should be clear if you're a real estate agent and you're watching this video that obviously you want to hire me because I want to get paid. Well, no, hopefully it should be that the value that the real estate agent is bringing to the homeowner is greater than what they could do it on their own. And most of the time in any great business, you're hiring someone who can help you do something faster, better, and easier. And that's what creates value. If I want, I could try to send a message to someone, one of my friends. I could run over to their house and hand them a message or talk to them. But a lot of times it's easier for me to just pick up the phone and call them. It helps me to do it faster. It's better than I could normally do it to run it. And it's easier. I don't have to run over there and have that conversation. And so that's why I'm happy to pay for an iPhone. It just makes sense. Well, the same way would happen if I wanted to do a real estate transaction. Hopefully that helps for us to have it happen sooner. So what I don't understand is when people don't provide great service to sellers or great service to buyers, and all of a sudden the seller starts to think to themselves, in the absence of value, price is the only lever. Let me say that again. In the absence of value, price is the only lever, which means that if you don't provide a seller with some really good value to them, then they might say, well, I don't want to pay the full commission, which is why many times these for sale by owners start to jump in and they're like, I'm going to do everything myself. You know, it's one of the most silly things I see in real estate businesses and business owners, regardless of just being in real estate, is this idea that I have to do everything myself. But what happens, as we all know, with for sale by owner properties, they never sell at the top of the market. They don't sell the same way that a real estate agent can sell it. Why? It's not just because you have a real estate license and you bring value. It's because when you do things like marketing funnels and professional photography and staging and have this huge online presence, when you're constantly marketing it out there with other brokers and lenders, you're doing all of that hard work and value, that it's going to bring more offers, more showings to the table, which with the greater demand drives up the value. But here's what those for sale by owners are always focused on, and I think the National Association of Realtors say they sell between 10, 15% less. On this one, this guy sells for 30 grand less. It's clear he was focused, this for sale by owner was focused on spending less money out of pocket. He wanted to save the 3.5% here, and he wanted to just reduce it down to 1%. You've seen it so many times. But what did he really save? He saved for himself just 1% or 2% in commission, but he lost out bigger on the big picture here, which is his $30,000. So who nets more? It's actually the person who hires the real estate professional, who partners with them so they can do more in the process. Because you have to think to yourself, is the seller really good at selling properties? Maybe they're awesome at it. But should they be spending their time doing that? Probably not. They should have a real estate professional do it who's able to get more for their money. Well, how does this apply to real estate teams and real estate brokerages? Well, it's going to be clear here in just a moment because we're going to look at what's the value of your time. Well, here's some more economics on real estate. You can either get that stuff that's just required by the brokerage, how we went over those first 5 things, or you can get additional items that are offered by some brokerages, and EXP does that. It's got a relocation department, REO department, iBuyer program, luxury opportunities. It's got lead gen platforms for you. It's got its own CRM that comes with your membership, 60 hours worth of weekly training, stock, revenue share, and all these amazing things to be a part of this company, which adds to the value. And when you go to join a brokerage, you always have to ask yourself, all right, I know you're going to be taking a cut of the transaction, but are you going to take a cut of the transaction on a percentage basis, on a flat fee basis, or on a monthly basis? Let me explain. Some brokerages, every time you sell a deal, they're going to ask to take a piece of the transaction. That might be anywhere from 1% to 50% or more. And so you have to ask yourself, how is that happening? Or maybe it's a flat fee. Maybe every time you sell a house, it's only $500. Or maybe when you go and you do you go into the office, you've got a monthly fee that's happening. And if that's the case, then you want to talk about the monthly fee that might be present. Maybe they're charging you a couple $1,000s a month, but they'll give you 100% of your commission. In any case, the brokerage needs to make their money along with the agent. And so here's how this can actually work. It can work in continual, perpetual basis, or there could be a cap on all of this, which means that, you know what, we've taken in enough from the real estate agent, so we're not going to charge any more money after a certain period of time. And we're going to show you here in a second what EXP does. So EXP is actually an 80-20 split, meaning 80% to the real estate agent and 20% over to the brokerage. But you'll never pay to them more than $16,000 in a year. Now, that's not $16,000 up front. That's not $16,000 over the course of every month. That means out of every transaction that you have, a portion of that, 20%, will go over to the brokerage. And when that 20% adds up to the $16,000, you won't have to pay any more money to the brokerage for that entire year. On top of that, there is a fee of $65 for every transaction that happens. That's how the broker gets paid, and that's how we pay our E&O insurance, so it's out of each transaction. And then $85 a month is the tech fee, and that allows you to get access to KV Core and a huge online suite of marketing materials that are completely included in the price of being a part of the brokerage. It's one of the most competitive splits that's out there, but I will tell you it does have the greatest amount of value that I've ever seen, and I've been a part of several brokerages before in the past, been in the industry for over 10 years. So let's look at this and how this would actually work. So let's say you have this $500,000 sale again, it's 6% commission, you're on the seller's side as the listing agent, and you have a possible fee of $17,500 that you can get from representing the seller if you take home 3.5% of this sale. So if you did that, 80% would go over to you, that's $14,000, and 20% would go over to EXP at $3,500. The cool thing about this is it would only take you about 4.5 deals to reach your $16,000 cap, which means you would be at 100% commission for the rest of the year, which sounds pretty good. And in fact, it's actually a really low amount of houses that you would need to sell in order to actually reach this and get 100% commission. Well, it gets better than that. EXP not only caps you out at $16,000, they also have a pretty cool program that really works for agents who are producing quite a few homes. And so that's an Icon program. And I'm a real estate icon at EXP Realty. I sell and make over $500,000 a year in gross commission income. And so what that means for me is that I will never pay beyond my $16,000 that I pay into the company. I'll never pay more than $5,000 in fees. And on top of that, the company is going to award me every single year with $16,000 in company stock, which essentially means that at the end of the day, my net, if they give me $16,000 and I paid in $16,000, then the only fees that I'm possibly paying are my $65 a deal, which gets capped out at $5,000, and $85 as my monthly basis. And on top of that, I get all of this value that comes with the brokerage. All of the things, I get my broker, my payment platform, my global branding, large tech, awesome events every year. I get them handling my compliance, my insurance. I get the relocation, REO, and iBuyers to bring me more business. I get the luxury opportunities, which means that I can get luxury listings. I just signed a $6 million listing the other day. Cool luxury branding. I get the brokerage-based lead gen platforms. I get my CRM handled by them. I get 60 hours worth of training for my team. And I get stock and revenue share options. And if you haven't watched our revenue share video, please check that out. It could change your life. It's an absolutely amazing program that's really, really been super adopted by those who are part of EXP. Well, let's look at this even more in depth and just see the numbers again, because I'm a numbers person. I just have to see it for myself. And if I don't see it for myself, then I'm going to be like, oh, well, how did that work again? Well, here's the agent who does that $500,000 a year in revenue. Their expenses, we're really not sure what that's going to be, because every business is run a little bit differently. Some people are like, you know what? if you do a deal with me, I'm gonna, I'm gonna send you brownies, and I'm gonna take you out for a dinner, and I'm gonna send a huge closing gift, and I throw big parties every year. And some people are like, no, I don't run anything on my business. I don't even ask anyone for reviews, referrals, or anything. I'm just kind of really quiet about my business. Some people spend a lot of money on online leads because they want to, get their business going as soon as possible. So everyone has these different expenses. But the costs of sale are what happens after you've closed a real estate transaction. And so let's look at what that might be. In this case, the cost of sale for this agent is $5,000 in fees, like I just said, and $16,000 for a cap, and $16,000 they get back in company stock, which means that as a net to them, apart from some monthly fees that show up, it's $495,000 to you before taxes, just to be clear. But you're paying $5,000 to be a part of this brokerage as a net to you as a business. And I just have never seen in the industry another brokerage that has this much value and is asking for just this little amount. Now, people ask all the time, how is this sustainable? How do they possibly do it? Well, they're the fastest growing brokerage in the world because they're attracting people into a model and allowing these newer agents to grow and get their business going. And some people don't reach that $16,000. Some people don't reach this Icon program and continue to pay in. And the icons that are there, they bring so much value to the brokerage by bringing other people to it as well. And it's an incredible model that's really changed the business. And I'm proud to be a part of it. Well, let's talk about expenses for a minute. Expenses, like I told you, can be different everywhere. You can run your business with a lot of them or just very few. You can't see probably all of those expenses there, but they're everything from your licensing and your board dues, your mileage, your contact management system or your CRM, marketing of your listings, professional photography, MLS dues, your website, lead programs that you might be a part of, or client events, anything like that. And that can add up. It can really get pretty crazy. But for most people, that adds up to around $15,000 to $30,000 worth of all of what they do. Excuse me, I should say 15 to 30% of all that they do. And so if you're earning $500,000 in business, you don't get that automatically by people just coming up to you on the street. You actually have to spend money. You have to go do some sort of advertising. Some people say, I run my whole business off of word of mouth. Yeah, well, at some point, you're probably hosting some event for people, or you're doing something nice. And you might run your business a little bit thinner, around the 15%. But a lot of people are spending money on assistance and help. Once you start doing a lot of business, you probably have some sort of an employer, an assistant who's working with you, or a transaction management individual. Someone's helping you. And so your expenses start to go up there. On top of that, you got your taxes. The tax man wants to take probably 25 to 40%. And so you start to realize that all of the sales that you do in real estate doesn't mean you get to take all of it home. In fact, I've seen so many people mess up by having so much in taxes show up and they don't pay them because they're really just living off of everything that comes in the door. Well, let's talk about this economics of real estate. The economics of real estate are pretty insane, right? As you can see so far. And there's always value that gets attributed by doing things faster and better and easier. But let's see it in a visual aspect. Here's what the economics of real estate look like, once again, just in a different format. You have your revenue that comes in on the top. That comes from meeting leads and doing what you should be doing. All the things that I talked about at the beginning that a real estate agent should do. That's going to be lead generating, following up, having content produced, going on appointments, writing contracts, and then helping everyone from the contract to the close. They're going to bring in that revenue at the end of the day, maybe that $500,000 from selling a certain amount of homes. Then they got expenses that we just talked about. Then we talk about cost of sale, which are your splits. At the end of the day, you're left with your take-home dollars. And this is how it looks here. So let's introduce Jim. This is Jim. Meet him. He's a cool guy. He sells $500,000 worth of real estate every single year. And here's how the math works out for Jim. Let's say he was in an area where the average sale price was around $500K. He took in around 3% for every listing. Or every on the buyer side. It kind of blends. Sometimes he's on the seller side, he gets 3.5. Sometimes he's on the buyer side, he gets 2.5. Let's just say it's 3%. So his average generation of income is $15,000 per deal, which means that if Jim sells 33 homes, it's about 3 every single month, then his gross income is going to be $500K, which means that monthly he's going to take home around $41,000. Now that sounds pretty good. And if you're watching this video, you're like, oh my gosh, that'd be amazing if I could do that. Maybe you're even further beyond that and you know how good that is. When I started in real estate, I was like, oh my gosh, if I could just sell one house a month. My first year, I made 19,000. And now if I could do it all again, man, I know exactly what I do. Well, just realize this is that real estate income is not consistent. And I need to be clear about it. If you're just about to get into real estate and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to make $100,000 a year, many times that $100,000 a year is not the same every single month because you don't sell the same in January that you sell in July. People buy houses more in the spring, summer months, sometimes into the fall or winter, but during those first couple of months, it's pretty slow. And so you'll see that in quarter one, traditionally, about 15% of your sales is done then. And then in quarter three, you'll see about 35% of your sales is done then. And it can fluctuate in between on those other quarters. But what happens when you look at your expenses? Well, here's the expenses of just a typical solo agent. They've got their real estate dues and licensing, and that's not a lot of money. They've got their mileage and expenses. Don't worry, I can write off that. That's cool. Yeah, but you still got to pay it. So let's say it's about $1,000 a month between gas, which is a ton of money right now, and car parts and the repairs and getting tires and wipers. And let's just say nothing crazy goes wrong. You got your contact management system, which might be like $100 a month for a decent one. Got your marketing of your listings, let's say $500 a month for nice photos, some video, doing some social media. What about professional marketing and photography? You've got probably another $500 a month for that. MLS dues that show up, signage and business cards, maybe a lead program. Many of the leads, if you're on Zillow, Realtor.com, Truly.com, to get anywhere, you're really spending like $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month in order to get a decent amount of leads through so that you can qualify them and work through that process. Not every lead is good, and you need to get a bunch in order to find good ones. And so what ends up happening is you start spending a bunch of money there, your website. And then if you're a solo agent, many times you need some sort of coaching to help you along. You're like, no, I'm going to do it mainly myself, but I do want someone who's really knows how to keep me accountable and help me so I don't kind of get off the path and get back on and help me each week on what I should do. And that's probably going to cost you $1,000 a month on the really low end. And then there's client events that you probably have two a year, some admin staff. If you're doing $500,000 in deals, you're probably going to pay an admin. This is like a part-time or salary that you've got for someone in some of the metro areas, or full-time salary if you've got someone that's outside of that. And then probably some stupid loan program or lead program that you bought at one point. You go somewhere and someone's like, I can sell you this thing and it works, and it doesn't work, or it does. I don't know. It would probably cost you $2,000. The gross expenses, this is crazy. Nothing wild here at all. It's $111,000. Which is a 22% expense ratio for someone. So for every dollar that goes in, 22 cents goes out the door in order to just run the business. And we all know that every business has expenses. You can't just run it without anything. Think about if you were running like an ice cream shop or something. Like, you still got to buy the milk, and you got to buy the sugar, and you got to buy the ingredients and flavors. You probably have to have a storefront, maybe put a little bit of advertising out there, but it's not free to run it. So it's not all pure income. And most real estate agents never get that. They never learn that. They think that like everything just happens because I happen to meet somebody, but that's not sustainable. Can you just happen to meet everyone every month? I wouldn't leave my business up to chance. I never would, because you know what? My expenses are going to stay the same, because expenses generally are consistent while income isn't. And on top of this, what I never even covered here was that there's probably a whole ton of time that you're wasting. You're setting up a lead program, you're meeting with your transaction supports, you're trying to set up client events, you're doing a whole bunch of other stuff. You got time management, setup, R&D, all the skill. Maybe you're just not as good at doing certain tasks that other people are. Maybe you're not as good as hiring. Maybe you're not as good as doing a few other things, but you're really good at just selling houses. And that's all you wanted to do. You just want to sell houses and make money. And that's the problem, is most people don't understand when you decide to become a real estate agent, you're actually setting up a complete business. That means that you're a CEO, you're a CFO, you're a COO, you're trying to get all of these parts of the business done. And most real estate agents fail. Actually, 87% of real estate agents actually fail because they don't realize this. And they get into a lot of trouble with taxes and everything else. So here's the economics of this solo agent. $500,000 came in the door. $111,000 went out in order to keep the business running. $5,000, that's it, was paid to EXP. Now, this is assuming that you're at EXP, by the way. If you're at another brokerage and they keep taking money from you forever, like, that's on you. But the EXP limits you to $5,000. I think that's a pretty dang good deal for all that they provide. And then, they're left at the end of the day with 383,700. I just can't understand why some people pay in perpetuity. They think they have a good split of 80-20, 90-10, whatever it is, but they'll pay it in perpetuity, pay 50, 60, $70,000 a year out the door to their brokerage without ever looking at another model. So very, very good model if you're a business person or you'd like to know that you're a business person to operate that way. So you start asking a lot of questions. Can I cut expenses? What's the ROI on every lead source? Do I need to spend more to make more? Maybe you actually need to look at your business and you're like, you know what? I'm spending a whole lot on leads and it's just not working out for me. Maybe I got to relook at my business, get some new coaching, get some new software to help me follow up with the leads. Maybe you're looking at your business and you're like, you know what? I'm not even making more than 50,000 or 70,000 or 100,000 a year. You're thinking really low. You can't break the 100 grand mark. You're like, I need to buy some leads. I need to buy some other resources and coaching programs in order to spend more money to make more money. And then you start asking yourself, well, where am I spending my time? Like, am I spending my time managing others? Am I spending my time trying to set up websites? Am I spending my time, inputting listings to the MLS and following up on emails with lenders? Or what am I doing? And then so you start to ask yourself at the same time, what's my dollar per hour? What's my earning potential? And where am I actually spending it? And if you're really a business owner, then you're going to ask yourself, what am I doing every single hour of the day that I'm away from my family? If I get in the car at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning in order to drop my daughter off at school, and then I go to work and I'm away from my family from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I got to pick up my daughter again from school, like what did I do every hour? Did I earn money or did I spend money? Did I make a lot of money or did I make a little money? And then you start to ask yourself, well, what's my highest earning potential? If I spend my time doing the activities of a real estate agent, lead generating, lead follow-up, writing contracts, doing appointments, getting stuff contract closed, well, that's a higher dollar per hour than if I'm like setting up websites and maybe trying to work on the deals and sending emails to attorneys, etc. So you start to think to yourself, can others do stuff at a better dollar per hour than what I could possibly be earning? So take a look at Jim. Jim earns $383,700. He works 32 hours a week in sales because he works 8 hours a week doing tasks outside of sales. It's 48 weeks out of the year he works because he takes vacations for 4 times a year. That's kind of laughable in real estate, but let's pretend you actually have some health and wealth in your life and you only work 1,920 hours. That means that Jim is earning just under $200 an hour, which sounds pretty good, right? Before taxes. Sounds pretty good. But that's his option if he maintains that pace of selling 500 homes a year consistently. What about the team? Let's get back to that again. Talking about training, support, and leads, and all these things that a team provides, a lot of people have some reservations about teams. They're like, don't you just take a cut of the deal? Like, is that the case? And I'd like to reframe that, because if a team provides training, support, and leads, what does that really mean for a real estate agent's business? Like, how can that truly help you if you're brand new? How can that truly help you if actually you're like really good and you're selling over $500,000 a year worth of houses? Why do people go on teams if they're selling $100 million in houses a year? They split with the team. I know a good friend of mine who is. And I also know people who are brand new and they get started on a team. Well, it's simple. If you're going to do training, then you might as well learn and earn faster. So if you're going to get into the business, well, why not go and learn with people who have done it before, who are constantly teaching you, not in these one-time classes, so that you can earn more faster. That way you're actually in these classes and you're like, I didn't really understand that the first time. And can someone help explain that? And how do I keep doing this afterwards? There's someone there who's constantly helping you. And if you're in that sort of environment, it also helps keep your income and your habits consistent. Because if you learned that, I need to time block in my schedule, then that also means that you need to do that every single day, not just for a week. You probably need to do that all the time. Someone can help you on a team to do that. What does it look like for support? Well, spend time earning rather than managing, monitoring, building, breaking systems, hiring, firing. Those are all things that real estate agents end up doing once their business starts to grow. And the reality is that real estate agents generally have a personality makeup that's great at meeting people and engaging them and encouraging them to buy houses and providing value to them. But it's not necessarily as good, I've seen over the years, at building systems and staying very organized and making sure transactions happen a certain way, but not just transactions. What about systems that help you earn more deals? What about systems that help your business function when you're not there? And all of these things starts to show up and you start to think as a real estate agent, well, At some point, I want to retire. At some point, I want to take a break. At some point, I want to actually do something that I love to do beyond just selling real estate. But you realize that as soon as you step away from the business, more people call you. And as soon as you step away from the business, an emergency shows up. And you realize that it's actually easier to go further together than it is alone. You start to get in your mind, what if we went from just me to we? And you started doing things together. Then you start to realize that, well, that's what most businesses are. If you went into a coffee shop, I'm sure you could go to a coffee shop where there's one person there who's ringing you out, taking your order, pouring your coffee. They're in the back stocking the beans. They're doing all of the operations. Or is it probably that there's a group of people? If you went to an airline and you're running to catch a flight, is one person there checking you in, doing the bags, getting you through security, checking you at the gate, getting you in, giving you peanuts, a drink, flying the plane, giving the announcements? No, they're not. It's not just the pilot there because the pilot's like, well, I just want to take all the fee. It's actually a whole team of people. And would you rather go on a plane that's just one person trying to do everything themselves? Would you want to work with an entire group of people who's providing an amazing service? Well, that's what a lot of people think. They'd rather work with a huge team where everyone focuses on what they're good at. And the last is the leads. Generate leads easier. Getting appointments set directly on your calendar, leads sent to your built-out CRM, and most importantly, how to generate leads for yourself from your own sphere of influence, and more. And I think that's super important because people ask all the time, like, all right, how do I build my business? I just got my real estate license. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, there's huge ways that we can teach you how to do that. Have you thought of this? And then they go and do it, and then they're able to execute. But then also people are reaching out to a team and the advertisements that they have because they have a lot of money to spend on advertisements, and they get these leads and they can pass it off to agents. And that way the agents are actually in an environment where they're practicing with each other, they're learning, they're constantly bettering their business, whether they're at 0 to million, 0 to 5 million, 5 million to 10, 20 million to 50 million, wherever they are in their business, they're always bettering it, getting it to the next level. And then by the time they go out with their clients, man, they're ready to go. They're super sharp. They're prepared, and they can go and do that easier. Well, the training actually happens at our team in a number of ways. We have personal mentorship with people constantly holding your hand. Each individual agent on the team gets one mentor. And although there are multiple mentors that everyone can go to, you get your own personal mentor. So that way someone can help you walk through the whole process of not only onboarding to our team, but continuing and growing in your career, no matter what strata of real estate sales you're at. We've got an over 500 step onboarding program. It's this amazing program where you're just kind of walking through every single day is broken down for 90 days. That's right. It's like week 1, day 1, week 1, day 2, week 1, day 5 of week 3, all planned for you. What you should do with sales, what video you should watch for learning, all that's done. Because most real estate agents just fail in their first 90 days. They get overwhelmed. There's too much to do. There's too many opportunities, and they end up just failing. And then we've got leadership meetings and mentorship development. We've got multiple online trainings that happen. I mean, you could see in this list a video library of over 400 videos on how to do every single type of real estate transaction out there. Engaging monthly meetings that actually inspire you and help you gain further understanding and knowledge. You got a boot camp, which multiple events throughout the year that really accelerate your production levels through team activities. The support levels, like I talked about before, you've got the personal mentorship, again, in-office appraisal support, Slack community messaging, people who know how to show houses for you. So if you can't on a weekend or a weekday, you've got something going on with your family, you have a whole resources of individuals that you can reach out to, and they're going to be there to help you show those houses. Your listing coordinators get all of your listings into the MLS for you and all the realty websites. Also, your photography is paid for, so you don't have to come out of pocket with that when it comes to your expenses. You've got transaction coordinators working your contract to close. So all your deals, as soon as you get them under contract, they go all the way to the closing table with a transaction coordinator. Some people even are super busy and they can't even get their offers written on time. And so there's an offer writing system that happens. Video editing happens for us. Graphic design happens. Activity and habit tracking and business planning and more. It's a massive environment that's designed for a win-win. If you win, the team wins. If the team wins, you win. And so that's our support. And then lastly is our leads. It's really important, I think, for people to get a steady flow of leads that's constantly happening. But lead generation actually costs a lot of money. It either is going to cost your time or it's going to cost your money or both. And what we have a philosophy of is we want to teach real estate agents to take their time in order to spend time, quality time with people in order to nurture relationships, build relationships, so they can help sell people houses down the road, whether they're looking to transact now or transact later. But in the meantime, we deliver over 500 leads a month to our real estate agents. We have an inside sales department who are nurturing cold leads. We have a built out CRM, so you don't have to get it from just a blank slate. It's already built out for you with all your action plans and drip campaigns and calls to action. We've got multiple realty websites that have us on there, featured as some of the best real estate agents in the country. And so there's constant people reaching out to our team in order to do business with us, and we pass those on to our team agents. We have AI systems that are linked inside of our CRMs that are constantly following up with our leads. We teach you how to do social media funnels. We're big on personal brand development. So your brand inside of a global organization, partnering with our team, we're big on that. So we help you with that. We've got a client experience program that helps you generate referrals and reviews for your business even after the transaction is done. And then we throw huge client events, so that way you can invite your clients to these events and you don't have to pay any money out of pocket. I mean, this is the full package as to what it would take in order to make a real estate agent successful. And for me and myself, I'm not a gambler. I'll gamble with a lot of things, but if I knew that there was an 87% chance that a stock would fail, which is actually the same ratio as the failure rate for real estate agents in business, then I would never put my money into it. I would never put my time into it. But real estate agents do it all the time. And they do it without training. They do it without support. They do it without leads. And we're shocked why they fail. But the idea is just like the for sale by owner. They're trying to do it on their own to save a little bit of money. But what they end up doing is they end up failing big time. And that's what I just don't want to see. And that's why I started a team a long time ago, because I want to see agents actually make more money per hour. Let me introduce you to team agent Jim. Same kind of guy, right? Here's team agent Jim. He just decided, all right, I'm going to do it the team way. And the reason that I think Jim earns more money is because he's doing what he should be doing every day, what the real estate agent's required to do, not all the other stuff. He's not trying to build the systems. He's not trying to design the best brand for him. He's not trying to do any of that stuff. He's just focused on selling houses. And you'll see here, all the metrics are the same, except for one little thing. Jim sells just about one home extra a month. Not even one, just about a home extra a month. Why? Because he saved a lot of time. In fact, all of his time is actually based selling properties and not on anything else. And we'll get to that. So what doesn't Jim have to spend? Well, Jim earns more money. He takes in more, but he has to spend way less money out of pocket on expenses. Why? Because although he has to pay his licensing fees, his board dues, his mileage, his contact, nope, he doesn't have to pay that. He doesn't have to pay a lot of these things. Maybe he keeps his website, but he's not going to have to spend money on coaching because it's already there. He doesn't have to spend money on events because it's already done for on the team. He doesn't have to spend money on admin or transaction support because it's already there. And he doesn't have to worry about buying a stupid lead program because guess what? The team already looked out for that and said, you know what? We researched that before. You don't have to do that. So what ends up happening is Jim only spends $16,350 a year. It's just over $1,000 a month. And Jim can stomach that because some months he might earn $20,000. Some months he earns $50,000. Some months he earns $2,000. And he can manage that, but he doesn't want to have to manage all that money out of pocket. And on top of that, he doesn't have to waste his time. He doesn't have to manage anything. He doesn't have to set anything up. He doesn't have to worry about R&D or the fact that he's just not good at some of these things. In fact, he just gets to focus on what he's good at. So how does Jim do this? Well, there's actually a huge difference in between running yourself as a team agent and running yourself as a solo agent. So a team agent focuses and they convert all of their expenses or most of their expenses over to cost of sale. And what I mean by that is it's just like a split that you would pay your brokerage. So here's how our team works. Brooke team splits are 50-50 on all deals. Doesn't matter if it comes from your sphere, doesn't matter if it comes from an online lead that we generated or anything like that. And it goes up to $5 million in closed business with the team on an annual basis. And after that, what ends up happening is that once you reach $5 million in sales, it converts to 80% to the real estate agent and 20% to the team. And since Brooke team is recognized as a mega team agent, a mega team at EXP, our agent's cap with EXP is reduced from $16,000 all the way down to $4,000. So that means on a total, they would split with the team and they'd only pay $4,000 to EXP. So check out how this looks. The math is that 42 homes get sold because Jim, team agent Jim, is only focused on selling houses. He only does that. This is about 3.5 homes a month, by the way, which is not a challenge to do in this business, especially when you're getting leads handed to you. In fact, many of our agents are actually closing 1 to 2 homes a month alone off of the leads that we provide them, never mind for their own efforts that they're doing in order to generate their own business, which means that nearly half of these transactions could be actually handed over to Jim on a recurring basis by just being a part of the team. So now Jim sells, let's pretend that Jim's really bad at converting leads that were handed to him. He just sells just about one more, and the rest come from all of his friends and family just buying houses all the time. Well, Jim's going to earn around $630,000. He spends out of his pocket just a little over $1,000 a month, so a total of $16,000. But he splits with the team and with EXP. And he splits around $140,000 a year, which for a lot of people are like, wow, that's a lot more money. But at the end, Jim nets $470,000. And people will ask, well, the only thing that you're betting on is you're betting that Jim's going to sell more houses. My question is, or my response is, well, absolutely. Because if you know most real estate agents, they're doing a lot of tasks that they really shouldn't be doing. Now, if they joined a team and they said, well, I'm going to still get the same amount of referrals, and I'm never going to take a lead that the team does, and I'm never going to change my behavior, and in fact, I'm actually going to do less, you're right. That's not a good fit for a team then, because the person's doesn't fit in with core values that we have, doesn't fit on a good fit for us, and we'll go over what a good fit is. But this is a program that actually gets people super productive and actually has them earn more money. In fact, Team Jim earns more money than Solo Jim. And so his hourly rate, when he calculates that, is $470,000 as a total payout, 40 hours a week in sales, and not this money spent in overall management. 48 weeks out of the year, 1,920 hours, like we previously said, he's earning $244 an hour, which means he's just got a better rate. So when he leaves in the morning from his 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he's just earning more money than Solo Agent Jim does per hour. And the reason is because he's focused on the one thing he should be doing, which is just real estate sales and not trying to manage everything else. So you got to ask yourself, which one works better for you? Which model works better for you? Team Agent Jim or Solo Agent Jim? And that's up to you. Some people are like, hey, I'm just not a good fit for teams. I'm not a good team player. I'm not going to take advantage of resources that are already made. I kind of want to do this on my own. I want to figure it out on my own. I want it to be my own name, my own way. And that's totally up to them. They're just not good fits for our model. Our models are really good fits for people who are hungry and humble and smart. And I'll go into those for just a minute. Agents who are hungry are agents who actually want to make sales. Some people get into this business as part-time. And I'm just like, yeah, part-time can kind of work for like a little bit. You can certainly realize some goals. But the way that I kind of look at it is this: I would never go to like a part-time surgeon. I would never go to a part-time lawyer. If I needed a lawyer because I got myself into some sticky water legally, I would never hire someone who's part-time. If I had a really important surgery, and I've been in the past, had medical stuff that showed up, I would never want a part-time doctor. I'd want someone who was hungry, who was kind of after it, who was looking to do the best that they possibly could, who was eager to earn money, who was eager to do the best. And that shows up for people who are hungry. I also think that people who are great fits for teams are people who are humble. I myself, recognize it all the time. I'm not good at everything. I'm not good at staying as organized as possible. I'm not as good at managing certain aspects of systems, but I am good at designing systems, and I am good at selling houses. And as long as I believe that we have an essence of humility and an idea of being humble, then we work well with others together. And then we could realize that for our clients, we're going to just do the one thing that we're really good at, which is selling houses. And the rest of the other stuff, that can be leveraged. And the last one is just smart. This is a sensitive one for some people. I don't just mean like, hey, you get things, but people who are smart are looking at their time and how they're spending their time. And I feel like that's like a really important thing. If you're not conscious or aware of how you're spending your time, I don't think you're being really smart. If you're not smart about what you're earning at the end of the year, if you're not looking at your expense ratios, if you're not looking at those things, I just don't think that's smart. And I find agents often who are looking at that being like, oh, I don't want to learn how to do social media. I don't want to learn how to do this, or I don't know. I think that kind of refusal to look at anything and putting your head in the sand isn't smart. So we really look for agents who are humble, hungry, and smart. And that might not be for everyone, but it is for some people. And for those people who have joined us, that's how we sell over 600 houses a year. And that's quite a few homes. That puts us in the top 50 teams in the nation for our brokerage. And for us, it's been recognized on national stages everywhere. And people ask us, how do you do this? And I always say it's this mentorship program that we have. You can learn a little bit more about it. And it's 100% due to this program. It has everything to do with the onboarding, everything to do with the leads, everything to do with the mentorship. And that's just been part of our system forever. So what are our core values? Who are the people who we are aligned with? It's people who give a shit, figure it out, know that family matters, and are destined to be leaders. They're people who, you know what it's like when someone's like, I wish someone could just give a shit. And sorry for the language here, but I guess it's the only way to kind of convey to people, like, this is what I mean. I want you to really actually care about this. I want you to figure it out. I want you to, like, if there's a problem somewhere, that it's not like, hey, do this for me. It's like, no. I'm going to be resourceful and I'm going to try to figure this out for myself. And I'm going to also do everything I can to almost have this like machine mindset. Like, no, that didn't work. Okay, that didn't work. Now I'm going to try a new response. Okay, that didn't work. Let me review and exactly what I did. Like, it's this idea that I'm going to figure out how to solve this problem. And the last one is family matters. You know, family is so important to me. I've seen that this business kind of eats up family life all the time because it's inflexible for many people, especially if you're not on a team. And what they end up doing is they override family time. And I've made so many mistakes myself in my life. And I just want to make sure that anyone who partners with us knows that our family comes first. And if our family does come first, then I probably want to earn the most dollar per hour that I can in between the hours of 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And for me, I think my family's found that very valuable as I've grown this business from literally nothing into a multi-million-dollar business. And this one is also just near and dear to my heart: grow to lead, lead to grow. I believe that, you know, my purpose here is to grow more leaders. It's not just for people to follow a plan or follow me or anything else like that. I love to lead agents and I do it well. But what I really want is to raise up more leaders, people who can embody these ideas, who can embody these principles, who know how to do the math, who are humble, hungry, and smart, and can help other people grow their business to earn well over $100,000 a year, $500,000 a year in business. And what that's going to take is people to step up into leadership positions, which is why I partner with a ton of people who are smarter than I am. Actually, in our mentorship program, you're going to learn from people, not just from myself, but from other people who are a part of our team who do parts of this business really well. In fact, they do it better than I do. And that's why I grow to lead, lead to grow is so important. And I'm looking for leaders to partner with. You know, our vision is a national network of brokers and agents who demand excellence, not only for themselves, but for others. And that's been really important for us as we continue to grow. And now we're in many states across the country. And whether or not we're in your state or not, that's okay, because our systems and our models can be incorporated anywhere. And that's because they're principle based. They're not personality based. It's not about me. It's not about my personality. It's not about anything that I personally can do, but it's about our systems and our operations. It's about the principles that we adapt that are amazing for real estate agents to actually get them productive. And so if that's you and you've been looking at your business and you've just been like figuring out like, where am I? Should I get into real estate? Should I actually do this? Is this going to be a good fit for me to just be a part of a brokerage or a part of a team? Either one, I hope this video has been helpful for you. I actually offer a free service. It's a complete, business evaluation. I'd love to dive into your business, just see what it's all about, whether you're a part-time person or a full-time person, whether you're getting into real estate, not into real estate. I'd love to just, see if we're a good fit. And do a business evaluation for you. I get a form for you. I'm going to be happy to send that to you or attach that here. Go ahead and fill it out. It does take a few minutes. And there may be some requirements of you in order to complete it. But if you do that, you're really going to get a good idea, and I'm going to get a good idea about your business and if we should set up a time to chat a little bit more. So hopefully this has been helpful. You've understood the economics of real estate. My name is David Brooke, and I look forward to hearing from you.